Hi, my name is Dan Zeilinger, and I have been a world-traveling full-time trad jazz musician for the past 40 years. Some of my most memorable performances were on the lawn of the Edinburgh Castle, at Imperial Palace in Japan, as well as TV shows and commercials across the world. I've met many people during my career and have spent many hours on stage and off with these musicians, talking about jazz, life, and more. Some are touring musicians, some are theme park warriors, and some are casual musicians who play on the weekends with friends. I think they all have stories worthy of a movie script, and through these interviews, I'll be sharing them with you. Hi there, this is Dan Zeilinger with Trad Jazz Today, and my guest is one of the original members of the Jazz Miners, a youth band that hit the nation like a flock of seagulls into a jet engine. They were one of the biggest things around, I'll get to talk to John about that in just a second. But my guest is Mr. John Brand. Hello, John.
Hey, Dan. Really nice to see you.
You too. Miss you, guy.
Yeah.
One of my very. Have you seen any of the interviews I've done thus far?
I have not.
Okay, they're on YouTube under Trad Jazz Today.
Yes.
And my first guy I interviewed was Matt Perrine.
Now, I don't know Matt.
He was a tuba player out of Sacramento area. And
Okay.
the story that he gave us, of course, he was idolized the Miners, and that they had got a gig somewhere in San Diego, and on the way down, Rusty invited him to go to his house so he could tell them what was wrong with their music. Well, actually, but Matt spent a good period of his interview talking about what a phenomenon you guys were, you know.
Yeah, it was. There just weren't any kids playing traditional jazz. I mean, we really were. Just our timing was great, and really a lot of that credit goes to Rusty. He spearheaded that whole thing.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to back up a little bit here, because I also understood that you showed up to the first rehearsal with a Fender bass.
Not only with a Fender bass, hair down to my shoulders, and all the nice conservative parents of all the other band members took one look at me and went, yeah, I don't think he's probably what we're looking for. Yeah, didn't own a string bass, did not play the tuba at all at that point. It was just
so I've heard.
Bass. Yeah, so we went through that first rehearsal. Okay, yeah. We had rehearsals maybe every weekend. Our first gig was New Year's morning for the TJSO. Went pretty well, even though other than Brad and Rusty, we were pretty raw. So, but what happened was that was my senior year of high school. I got the male vocal lead in Hello Dolly, and the director said, that hair goes or you don't get the part.
Uh-huh.
So I got hair cut like this, and all of a sudden I was in like Flynn. I looked the part.
Now, Brad was the baby of the group.
Oh my gosh, Dan. When I started, I was the oldest member. I was 18. Brad was 14. 14. And he played like what you and I know he plays like at 14.
I understand that, but when you spend your entire first part of your life copying Eddie Peabody, it's honestly, it's really not stylistically fits in with band playing. I mean, he's magnificent, but I can just imagine him walking in with his dad, and here's this boy who's being raised to be a solo phenomena, and all of a sudden he's got to be part of a band. That must have been rough for everybody in some ways.
Well, no, not really, because he was so shy. I mean, he just, because he lived up, kind of up in the hills, kind of a thing, had kind of a sheltered deal, just like you said. He just spent hours listening and trying to learn how to play like Eddie. So he was really quiet, being the youngest too, really shy. So even though from the very first you knew, oh my God, this is a world-class talent, he no attitude at all. As a matter of fact, I think he actually, in some ways, preferred being in the band than being a solo artist. Because solo artists, you got to be
right. All the weight's on your shoulder too.
Yes, and so I think I think in many ways he really enjoyed being like, I'm going to be back here just helping the band swing. And like, you play with him for years, just one of the all-time greats.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's not understating it. For any of you who are watching
Yes.
this show and don't know Brad Roth, first of all, I don't believe that you're watching this show. And the second one is he is, by national consensus, international consensus,
Yep.
The best plectrum banjo player, especially in the Eddie Peabody style that has ever existed, next to Eddie,
Yeah. Well, and that was the crazy thing. The Jazz Miners were actually my second Dixieland band. I
didn't know.
Yes, and I was really shy growing up. And in the 9th grade, my orchestra director, who was a string bass player, he came to me, this was in junior high school, and said, there's some guys in high school, they've got a Dixieland jazz band, but there's no bass player at the high school, and I think you should do it. And I went, okay. I wasn't going to say no to Mr. Lewis. So I went to the first rehearsal, scared as, oh my gosh. And they were great. First gig was at 15. I think I made $10 maybe, and thought that was the, greatest sum of money, in 74 or whatever it was. So I had that experience. So in years to come, when I was a senior, Rusty had heard about another bass player at our high school who was he's actually one of the finest classical string bass players in the world. His name's Jeff Braditich. So Rusty had heard about Jeff and called our orchestra director and said, hey, would Jeff be interested in playing Dixieland jazz in this band I'm putting together? Mr. Lewis said, well, Jeff doesn't play jazz, but I got another bass player who has experience. So that's how I ended up getting a call from Rusty. Now, Dan, can you imagine my second band and Rusty Stiers is the trumpet player and Brad Roth is the banjo player? Oh,
there are a couple of hacks. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. Looking back on it now, it was just like manna from heaven. You go like, oh yeah, the rest of us, Brad and Rusty will just pull us along by our bootstraps until we can get up somewhere in their, stratosphere.
However, one of the things about starting that way, I mean, I started touring with Howard Alden when I was with the Southern Comfort Band. He was
yeah.
And then I went from Howard to Brad. I didn't realize what real banjo players were like for a good 10 years into my career. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm taking casuals. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. I was so spoiled.
I was going to say the word spoiled leaps off the page. Yeah. Yeah. Cause you just assume, everybody's going to play like Rusty or everybody's going to play like Brad. And those guys are just two of the most, just wonderful, wonderful players.
Yeah. And of course my other trumpet player experience was with Brian Shaw. So
yeah, you're doing pretty good.
Not bad for my first experience into this. Now, Brad refused to tell the story because he said you had to tell it much better, which was how you got your first tuba.
Oh, geez.
Or sousaphone.
Yep. So this was after about a year of being in the band. Rusty came and said, it'd really be good if you played tuba because a lot of the repertoire is on tuba. Okay. Dummy. So they gave me a fiberglass sousaphone and I bought a beginning book and I think I got one lesson. I think there was somebody in town who maybe gave me one lesson. So I taught myself how to play the sousaphone. So if you ever see me play, my embouchure is way over here. It's so bad. It's just, but that's what works, right? So Rusty's dad was the secretary of the musicians union. And one day someone came in with this Pan-American sousaphone and they wanted to sell it, I don't know, $50 or something. So he bought it and he sold it to me. So that's what I started learning on. And Dan, I practiced, I tried, but getting a center tone was just so difficult. And I just assumed, okay, it's because I'm starting out. I can't so eventually
you found out you had no cork in the spit valve, right? Or something like that.
No, even better than that. I took it in to get some repair work done on it. And the repairman found jammed up inside a ski mask. A ski mask.
Ah, somebody committing sousaphone robberies.
Or some mom going, I'm done. This your son? No, you're not practicing anymore. Boom. They pulled that puppy out of there, and that horn roared. It was like, when you the batters come, they're in the on deck circle and they have the weighted donut on their bat to feel heavy, and so when they get up at the plate, it's this is great. That's what it was like. It was because I'd been pushing against that stupid ski mask for 2 months. Yeah. So that was
the legend is the legend is that you bought it off of a junk wagon.
Oh, I like that. The only horn like that. You remember Sonny Helmer?
Sure.
Trombone player?
Yeah.
So he was in Florida and he saw at a garage sale a nice, I don't remember what the model of the horn was, a nice horn that they wanted like $100 for. And if you know Sonny, you can tell where this story's going. He goes, well, it doesn't have a mouthpiece. And the guy goes, well, how much is a mouthpiece? And Sonny goes, they're like $50. And the guy goes, oh, okay, give me $50. So he got this tuba for $50. So he sold it to me for like $500, I think. And then I eventually sold it, I think, for about that. But yeah, so that's my crazy buy a tuba story. Thanks to Sonny.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So now I know of some of the jazz minor stories that Bradley wouldn't tell. It's kind of like the hotel trash cans full of water.
Oh dear. Do you think John Allred are you interviewing John Allred on this?
I'm trying to get both him and his dad.
Oh, that would be great. I got a great Bill Allred story for you, but first the John story. So that was Davenport, Iowa at the Bix Fest, staying in an old hotel from the 1920s, something like that had the transoms over the door. Remember? Like basically like a window that would open. And we were 18, 19, 17-year-old stupid boys. Lord, please forgive me. But we would fill up a trash can, and when someone would knock on the door, up it would go. And John Allred was at that festival, and I think he was 12. And he got one of the biggest brunts of a water. He went and knocked on our door for some reason. We thought it was somebody in the minors and just went whoosh. And he got drenched. So yeah, if you interview John, you ask him about the drenching he took at the Bix Fest.
Well, I'm trying to get a hold of John. He played on a bebop album that I put together that never got released.
Oh, such a wonderful, wonderful player.
Oh, unbelievable player.
Yeah.
And his dad's no slouch either.
Oh, Bill. Do you remember Bill's Rosie O'Grady's band?
Did you ever
have any of their stuff? We idolized them. They were our heroes. As a matter of fact, actually, for a while, Mark Curry, our clarinet player, was dating Kathy Allred, Bill's daughter.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and we had jazz minor T-shirts, and the back would say like sousaphone John. Bill got a jazz minor T-shirt, Bill Allred, our hero, and it said on the back, Mark's girlfriend's dad, Bill. It was like, oh, so we're playing the Bix. Remember, we're playing the Bix.
Sure.
And 15,000 people out by the Mississippi River, bandshell right there in Davenport. And we're crushing it. We're getting standing ovations. We're just killing it. So we play Tiger Rag, which at that point in time, you never knew if we were going to make it through, because we were playing it just super fast. And it was always teetering right on the edge of destruction, But we did. We made it through, and the crowd, goes crazy. Oh, this is so great. Bill and the Rosie's band follows us. So we come off the stage. They're coming on the stage. Bill grabs Mark by the scruff of the shirt, pulls him over, and says, I'd rather follow the second coming of Jesus Christ than you guys. But Dan, then guess what he did? They started their set, Tiger Rag, 20 clicks faster than us, and absolutely, the way they could play. We stood off to the side of the stage with our jaws on the ground for about 5 seconds, and then we started clapping because we knew they totally served us. They're like, yeah, you guys are good, but this is how it's done here, boys. And we just were applauding and going, yep, you own us.
Well,
Own us.
yeah, if you remember right, of course, I was with the Southern Comfort Band. We stole Mark from you for quite a while there.
Yes, that's right.
When he came to Europe with us. So
that's right.
Yeah,
I'd actually forgotten that. Yeah. Oh, those were some, man, those fun. Dave Gannett, tuba player in Rosie's. Oh,
I'm working on him too.
Oh, good. Oh,
because I met him when he was with the Black Dogs. But.
Yeah. Well, and he told me, or I read somewhere, that he had spent years playing in the circus, like playing in the circus band.
Sure.
So he had cast iron chops. I mean, they were just, yeah, his solo on When You're Smiling on their, I don't remember the name of the album. Oh, just, yeah, ridiculous.
Well, have you heard his album, his solo album he put out called Tubas from Hell?
No.
Yeah, it's out there. You have to find it.
Yep, I'll find it.
Just a quick aside about Dave. I met him when he was with the Black Dogs, and I went up after one of their sets, I think at Firehouse lot, and introduced myself. And he goes, "Oh, that's nice," and sort of passing. And I was in complete awe, obviously, because a man with chops.
Yep.
And 2 days later, I got a phone call from him, and he did a 3-column article on me for the West Coast Drag at the time. Oh. So yeah, so that's how I know. That's how I know Dave, and we're still in contact to this day. But
yeah, he was. I mean, talk about opposite ends of the spectrum, because he was one of my idols, and then Eli Newberger, New Black Eagles jazz band, completely different styles.
I haven't asked him yet, but I'm going
to. He's.
Yes, he is the most seductive tuba player you'll ever see.
So one of the very few times I ever stole a solo was his solo on Cannonball Blues. I don't remember the album, but just beautiful, because he's a piano player, melodic, beautiful. So I stole it note for note. And we were playing at the Saddle Rock in Sacramento, and we got a review from the paper. And the next day, this gal was talking about, John Brand's solo on Cannonball Blues, uncanny melodic delivery or something. I just wanted to dig a hole and die, because it was Eli's solo note for note. It was just, all the guys in the band were just laughing their butts off, because they knew, yeah, that's a pretty darn good solo that Eli invented.
That's funny. Plagiarist. Yeah. You plagiarist.
Totally. And got nailed for it in the paper, no less. So.
Tell me about, now I heard this one from Brad a long time ago, but I assumed because you were young kids that you would have food fights. And Brad said, only under the table.
Yeah. When did Animal House come out? Because that was filmed up here. That was filmed in Eugene, Oregon. So all of that movie was, and remember there was, Belushi started a big, huge food fight. I kind of hung out on the tour with Brad. Actually, I helped teach Brad how to drive. He drove from West Virginia.
You're the guy.
West Virginia to Florida in the Volkswagen bus. We drove together. I think we even got lost and had to kind of find our way to Florida. And Dan, only 2 or 3 times did my life flash before my eyes. Driving. So
he was driving a stick?
Yeah, yes, it was. Yeah, a Volkswagen bus, and he was learning how to drive. Yeah, it was. I mean, give him credit. That's not easy. So Tim, the piano player, and Scott, the trombone player,
sure.
They were buddies, and we had these ongoing practical jokes against each other. And just heard about one that I'd forgotten about. Brad said that in Florida, Tim had the hotel take all of Brad's clothes and launder them, and then heavily starch all of them. Brad said that he had to peel his underwear apart. So, so I went, yeah, that was a pretty good one. I think generally that Tim and Scott got the best of Brad and I.
Oh, that's craziness. Yeah. Now you guys did the White House too on that tour, right?
Yeah, actually we did about a month before the tour. Originally we were talking about doing it during the tour, but then it worked out where there was I want to say like almost like an employee. Is that you or me?
That's my dog.
Okay.
Or my stomach. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, it was sort of like a White House staff picnic on the south lawn of the White House. And so our congressman and senator worked it out. So we flew out there and played on the south lawn for the president, and that was really fun. And he came up and put his foot up on Tim's piano bench while we were playing. And that picture made like all the papers, and stuff. So whenever we, look for papers, we had a service, send us papers, and that picture was there. Crazy thing was, Dan, like 16 months later, we played it again for Disney for Mickey's 50th birthday train trip. We got to play at the White House again. And what was great is all the suits that went with us to the White House, they were all nervous. They're meeting the President of the United States. We had done it 16 months earlier. So when he comes up, we're shaking his hand. Hi, Mr. President. How you been? Good to see you. We were such stupid boys.
Well, we all have to be stupid boys for a time.
And the sad part is too, we used to be the kids. Remember when we were starting out at Disney and Knott's and stuff, we were the young guys, and we would have all the older.
How did you guys get the Disney gig? That I don't know.
Oh, well, that actually, one of the performances on the tour was in Florida at Disney World. Just, like an hour and a half concert. Well, Sonny Anderson, the entertainment director for Disney at the time, he was there doing some other stuff and made a point to watch our concert. And so through negotiations after that, the next summer we got Disney. For the summer of '78, we played at Disney, and then our manager worked out a permanent contract starting in the summer of '79. Summers, I think weekends and party nights in the off season. And remember, Disney was closed on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Oh gosh.
That's how long ago that was.
Yes, and you get a decent ride for an A coupon, yes.
Oh yeah. Well, and back then too, as an employee, you could sign yourself in. So we'd get done at 11 and you'd go over to Space Stage and you'd dance with a girl and you'd walk her to her car and kiss her goodnight. And then you'd go sign yourself back in, and you could do that 3 or 4 times before they closed at 1.
No, Brad would never do anything like that, of course.
That's true. He is just one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
one of the funniest stories Brad told me, in fact, he told me he used to have nightmares about it, is when you guys detuned his banjo before a set at the French Quarter.
No. Did we?
The way he tells it is you guys sort of kept him off the stage, and Rusty went up and tuned his banjo up a whole step.
Oh, jeez.
And then on his first tune, you guys all played it up a whole step, so everything was fine.
So he didn't even think about it. Oh, no.
Then they launched in the second tune, and he says it was like his worst nightmare. He looked up at your hands, and he looked down at his hands, and he looked over at Tim, and everybody was playing and nothing he would play would be correct. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, my gosh. Now, I have no memory of that. But yeah, that sounds pretty good. And it absolutely sounds like something we would have done. Yeah, it's remarkable. You combine testosterone with stupidity and you get, well, most boys 18 to 21 or 22. And then you put 7 of us together, all bets are off.
I tell you what you get is you get great stories.
Well, if you don't end up in jail.
I always wondered about those guys because they actually not only tolerated, Rusty especially, how much time do you guys spend at the park as the miners?
Well, let's see. We started in '78. I left the band in '80. I think that they finally left the park in '83, maybe. So 5-6 years.
Because they went straight from there into the Knott's gig. Oh,
is that right?
Rusty and Brad, and we did that for another 6 years.
Yeah.
And of course, Rusty's back at the park again now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I never saw you because I was subbing for you.
Well, and vice versa. We were always trading work back and forth in those days. In fact, one of the big boons to my career is when you decided to move back to Oregon. But
Oh, that's very kind of you.
But
Not
it's
true,
very true.
but very, very kind. Well, and that was the nice thing, because if you think about it, and I know I'll miss names, but you and me and Charlie and
Westy.
Westy, there was only a handful of guys that played all three instruments. That played electric bass, played tuba, played string bass, and played all the different genres. So I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting, but it was that sort of group. So if you got a gig and then you got a second gig, okay, I'll call Dan. Oh, he's already working. Okay, well, throw Charlie to see if he could do it, and he was always working. Same with Westy, he was always working. So it was okay. Now what do I do? So yeah, there was a nice mixture of sort of that small pool that you could call if you had too many gigs, which we did.
Well, that thing about tuba players is, I mean, John, let's face it, I love you. I mean, you and I have been friends for a long time, and
Oh man.
I feel very close to you that way, but we very seldom get a chance to hang out.
Oh yeah, almost never.
Like Westy and I ended up in a band together when he was playing trombone, so we got to know each other very well. And I knew Charlie from college. Charlie went and I went to Orange Coast College together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In fact, I got him coming on to the show a little bit later too.
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to that.
Weeks. But yeah, Charlie and I was playing tuba at Orange Coast College back in '73, and Charlie was in the section then.
Okay.
And so we've known each other since '73.
Well, and we first met Charlie in that first summer '78. He was in the Main Street Maniacs with Ralph and Hal Propey and all those
hacks. Yeah.
All those guys, and that band was nuts, except for Charlie. Charlie was this level-headed, studious great musician, and it was just chaos around him. So when they got let go, and then the next Main Street Maniacs came together with Doug Maddox and John Jorgensen and Dick Hardwick, well, of course, who's going to be the bass player? Charlie Warren. It's like, okay, Disney knew enough. Okay, we can get these guys. We have to have a constant. We have to have someone who's dependable. Charlie Warren, dependable. Crazy.
Did you see that? I'm sorry to interrupt, but did you see that some of that the Banjo Kings footage has ended up on YouTube recently?
Ooh.
With Larry Wright and Howard Alden. Howard Alden on washboard.
Yes, I saw. I don't know who posted that. Did you post that on Facebook?
No.
Somebody did. I saw a little bit of that. Now I saw you, or maybe Aaron said you weren't able to get Larry to come on. Oh, see, there's the fountainhead of stories.
Yes, I know. I still play with him pretty regularly. He does that Friday gig that I do, and I asked him to come on, and we went back and forth with emails for a while, and then he finally said, I don't think anybody wants to hear what I have to say.
Oh.
So Larry, if you're listening, I'm still open to it because the people that get mentioned in every interview that I've done so far are Westy.
Yep.
Larry Wright.
Yep.
Of course, Brad gets mentioned in a lot of them. I just interviewed Lee Floyd.
Oh.
A little bit back. I've interviewed Mike Morroy.
Oh gosh. Jim Turner has been posting old pictures of his playing days on Facebook, and Mike shows up on a lot of those. Golly,
so you got to get onto this channel and check out those interviews.
I will.
Mike's pretty amazing, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because that was, back in the 80s and the 90s, there were just it was almost like interchangeable parts. So every gig you went on, you'd probably see you, or you'd see me, or you'd see Westy, and you'd see Ralph Reynolds, or you'd see Larry Wright,
sure.
All the time. You'd see Brian Shaw, you'd see Brian Atkinson, it would just, there were this
Chuck Anderson.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes. I totally.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but speaking of Chuck, there's a great clip of him when he was with Harry James on the Merv Griffin show.
Oh.
And I talked to him, and he gets a lot of FaceTime on that.
Okay, I gotta look that up, because I think the first time I played with Chuck was probably in the band at Knott's Berry Farm. I think that's where I actually first met him. And then, like you say, you'd go on these other gigs, and there would be Chuck Anderson, or so that's
sure.
how you'd know everybody. So you'd show up on a band, and you'd know everybody. Ray Templin would be on drums, and you go, wait, he plays drums, and then he'd play drums like nobody's business.
You know what?
Dixieland drums.
My next interview today is Ray.
Oh, tell him hi from me.
I will.
He's my brother from another mother. We look, as we've aged, we just look so much alike. He was, oh my gosh, he was so much fun because he just has that, well, like a lot of us, he's just got that weird sense of humor. So when you're on a gig with him, you never know what's going to happen, you know.
I was at a job in Pismo Beach for the Pismo Beach Festival.
Sure.
And he pulls me aside right before a gig and tells me probably one of the filthiest stories I've ever heard, right before I got on stage. And I couldn't stop laughing. And he did it intentionally. But that's kind of Ray Templeton in a sentence there.
Oh, I'm trying to think. So ask him about the Friday Harbor Festival and the 3D photo.
Let me write this down.
Okay, so Friday Harbor and 3D photo. See if he remembers that, because it was just a hilarious bit that might get him in trouble with Disney. So he might not share all of it, but it was just kind of.
Well,
typical.
He's not at the park anymore, so I don't see why not. But
yeah, they can't get him. So it just wow. And what a player. I mean,
I love that festival too.
Yeah, piano. Oh, I know. Wasn't that a great festival? Oh my gosh. I wish that had stayed around. That was one of the most fun, just scenic, beautiful.
For me, not being a Northwestern boy, it was one of the most beautiful places I'd ever been in my life.
Right. And remember being that far north, it stayed light until like 10 o'clock at night. So yeah, a lot of festivals have gone away. We don't. Seriously, Dan, I bet there's 20, maybe 30 people left from the traditional Jazz Society of Oregon that started the Jazz Miners. That just the nature of the beast, I guess.
Oh, I understand. Of course, the other thing about that Friday Harbor Festival, that of course all of us tuba players love trying to get over there with our equipment.
You remember the little like 12-seat puddle jumper you'd go in?
The seaplane, yeah.
Yeah. Go in with, which I thought was so cool. And you'd fly over and you could see houses on the water, and they would have a dock, and then you'd see over the little hill, and they had an airstrip too. So they could get in by plane or by boat, and you just went, I want to do that. How do I get to do that?
No, I see that you're, at least from what I've seen, that you're not doing a whole lot of tuba anymore.
It's no, actually, well, yeah, that's actually probably true. Up here,
have you got Kit Johnson in your area?
Yes. As a matter of fact, until the pandemic, the first and third Wednesdays of the month, there's this little hole in the wall bar over here that has Dixieland. That's where I see the TJSO members still, and Steve Mathis, Kit's clarinet player, plays in that band. Sometimes. His banjo player. I can see his face and his name escapes me right now. It'll come back to me. Sometimes he plays in that band too. So, but I don't know about you. Here's what I've got going. For string bass, when I go to position like this, burning pain in the inner elbows.
I don't play string bass anymore.
Okay, see, I'm at that point now where I'm kind of telling people, and I was playing like orchestral stuff, chamber orchestra and stuff, and I'm just telling everybody, yeah, I don't think I'm doing that anymore. It's just too painful. So mostly tuba. Had my first tuba gig last Friday since February 23rd, so that was fun. And a lot of electric bass, a lot of rock and blues and funk and that kind of stuff, which is fun.
Another kind of interesting connection I have with that area, you know about Bob's Red Mill.
Oh, of course.
And Bob Moore, I guess, comes in and sits in with Black Swan every so often, from what he tells me, because he plays a little piano. But I was playing his convention band here in Anaheim when he comes down.
Oh, nice.
So
we do. My job now is I do purchasing and the books. My brother's got like a institutional food services. We feed students at a small college and a fraternity and a small coffee place and stuff. So I see, and we use Bob's Red Mill all the time.
It's a good product. I mean, obviously, I don't need to plug him. He's doing fine on his own, but he's a nice guy and he loves Dixieland.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, and I didn't know he was in this area. Very cool.
Yeah. Actually, he's in Pittsburgh, Oregon. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I don't know where that is. I've heard of it before, but I don't know where that is.
Oh.
Someplace.
What good are you then? Oh.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're playing, I see sometimes on Facebook, you're playing at Curly's is that Signal Hill?
Curly's Cafe in Signal Hill on the corner of Cherry and Willow, which is why it's called the Cherry Willow Jazz Band.
Okay, that's right. I see a lot of times with Katie, right? Cavera?
Yeah, she's actually there a bit especially when she's not traipsing around the world. Of course, she was back at the park doing the Philharmonic Orchestra there for a while.
I saw that on her Facebook page. Good for her.
She's just a delight. She's just wonderful to play with. She's another name that comes up constantly.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and the fact that I remember telling her when she decided to take up string bass, it's like, have you lost your mind? Can I talk you down from this ledge? But she said, well, I want to play with John and Ralph, and so John's playing the guitar, so no chance that. So I'll play string bass. And from what I have seen on Facebook, she does a great job.
Oh,
she's doing great.
She's not almost, in fact, I would say that has just an equal reputation on all three instruments that she plays.
Yeah, yeah, that's not surprising at all. Good for her. So
well, I guess when Ralph first got the new gig at the
California Adventure.
I'll be okay when I find my words. Yeah,
yes,
that originally I guess he had Westy with him.
Oh, okay.
And then Katie took that spot, and which is why she picked up the string bass.
Yeah. No, I remember when she was getting the chops up and she had like tape on her fingers. We might have even talked about what kind of tape or something, but it was just like, you're really sure you wanted to do this?
I never understood you guys who could play. Mike Fay, who had an entire roll of tape on his fingers. I can figure out how you guys do that. Well,
and the thing I remember, gosh, this was 78 must have been. John Jorgensen was playing. He was playing either clarinet or sax. Maybe it was 79. But he was playing string bass in a rockabilly band in Hollywood. I mean, John, it's just like musician times a million.
Well, he's a country god now.
Well, but he can do everything. But he was the one, he comes to me one time and he said he found this stuff called elastoplast. And it was like an ace bandage with adhesive on one side. Oh, and that stuff you can play for days. And he said it's the only way he was surviving playing those 4-hour rockabilly string bass gigs up in Hollywood. And so I don't even know if they still make that anymore, but that was great. When he turned me onto that helped a lot. Because when you're playing all the time, even with the calluses, they still get sore.
It's really funny. The last time I played with John was actually a Rusty Steyer's gig. And it was on a beach gig where we were playing surf music, but we were strolling. So I had to play an upright. And Help Me Rhonda isn't easy on an upright. It's not easy on a string bass, but on an electric bass. But that was the last time I played with John.
Oh yeah, he's I got to sub for a while for Charlie. They had the Terry Robinson and the Rhythm Brothers in the Golden Horseshoe. It was John and Doug Maddox and Raul Reynoso and Paul Shalasky and Charlie. And it was 30s music with Terry Robinson and then comedy, and stuff. And so whenever Charlie called me for that, and I got to sing like third part harmony, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But those guys were all those guys were just ridiculous players.
I understand. I remember, I taught up at Canyon High School.
Well, I have a daughter who graduated from Canyon High School.
What year?
This would have been, oh crap. She was born in 82, so it would have been like 99 or 2000.
She was a musician, was she?
She was in the choir. She was really good.
Yeah, I was the assistant there, band director, for about 11 years.
Okay. I remember seeing something about that on Facebook and wondering if you were there when Abri was there. Might have missed by a year or two. So yeah, so we were Canyon High School, supporters and
That's
all
funny.
that.
I don't know if you caught on that. Aaron, my son now, is the band director over at Orange Lutheran
Okay.
High School,
Okay.
which is right
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
hill from Canyon,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh my
remember
God.
when you worked at the nursery up there
Um,
in Anaheim Hills,
the nursery.
didn't you? I thought you
No.
worked. I thought you worked at that nursery right off the freeway that sold palm trees and stuff.
No, but I purchased palm trees and stuff from that nursery. No, my degree was in landscape architecture, and for years I worked as an estimator for like a landscape public works construction, so like freeways and schools and stuff. So I know Sunny Slope Nursery. That's exactly the one you're talking about, and we bought a lot of trees from them. Good nursery.
Okay, I don't know how I got that idea. It was probably just some rumor innuendo about the John Brand legacy.
Well, and you hear a piece of it, and it kind of goes, oh, okay, it morphs over here, and then, oh, okay, he's doing what's wrong with that boy?
Now you're doing some rock stuff still, right?
Well, and that's been really fun. About a year ago, there's a gal that sings blues, and their band, they do a lot of fun stuff. They do some Steely Dan, and just some really interesting.
Doing like Asia and
Josie. Any major dude will tell you.
That album was the Asia album was a turning point in my life.
Yeah, a lot of people's. So this drummer I had played a bunch of gigs with, he said, hey, this Joanne Bro, she's got a gig over on the coast, and she needs a bass player, and so I recommended you, but she wants to meet for coffee. And I went, okay. Nobody ever done that before. So we met and had coffee and talked, sweetheart. And so we went and played the gig, and her guitar player, a gal from Portland, and when the gig was over, and took the roof off, just this little club, just tore it up. And I heard the guitar player turn to Joanne, because it was the first gig for Dawn and I together. And she turned to Joanne and went, yeah, they're keepers. So, so I went, okay, good. First audition, successful. And then the next gig I played with her, she had a guitar player. And when that gig got done, he said, hey, my band's playing in July, and my bass player's French, and he always goes to Paris for a month. Do you want to play? I went, oh, absolutely. So I got in this whole new circle of players, which is way fun, way fun. And electric bass doesn't hurt,
No, it absolutely doesn't.
Bass.
And one thing you have that a lot of players of that ilk don't is you always look like you're having fun.
Oh, yeah. I tell people, well, like at church, we have a stage, and stuff. And I said, please, could we have an orchestra pit? Because once we start playing, I'm moving and I'm smiling and I'm just doing this. It's like, I don't want to be the center. Put me in a hole somewhere so nobody can see me, because I'm just having a blast here. Yeah, I played in this cover band, and we did. I Saw Her Standing There by the Beatles. That's just one of my favorite all-time tunes. And the thing just peeled paint. It rocked so hard. And I just went, yeah, this is fun. I could do this until the end of my days. So yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah, as you probably know, there was a short time, I think it was about 2 years, where the Knots band turned into a surf band.
I remember the promo photos of that. You were in Brad's car, right?
Yeah, that 57.
Yes. I absolutely remember that. I remember you guys going out and you were playing, like, what's that tune about? I just remember I heard it somewhere. Keep your hands to yourself. Remember that tune?
I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, heard you guys doing that. It's like, cool. Okay. So, but did you work much?
Oh yeah, we did a lot of conventions.
Oh, that's smart.
In fact, one of the things we did was down at the Four Seasons in Newport Beach Hotel, and they hired us on Mardi Gras to go down and play. And so we showed up with a washboard and trumpet, and George Anders was the drummer on that.
Yeah, sure, of course.
We showed down there, and they said, "Where's the rest of your equipment?" And Rusty says, "What are you talking about?" They go, "Well, we want you to play the dances, the rock band later on tonight." And we had shown up with our Mardi Gras stuff.
Well, of course, Mardi Gras.
So what they did is they ended up putting me in the lobby on a piano. And I'm not a piano player. I mean, I play my own stuff and I can get through a couple of 12-bar blues and things. and then they went home and they went to our houses and picked up all their equipment. But I was stuck there for an hour sweating that nobody would ask me for a request.
Yes.
And then we came back and we played the rock gig that night. Yeah, so that got us in trouble. The agency just figured we'd bring everything all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If it's Mardi Gras, well, you're going to make that assumption, and 99 times out of 100, you're going to be right. We had a gig one time. It was a soccer fundraiser or something, and it was on a Saturday from, I think it was 5 to 7. Okay, no problem. It was right down the hill from my house in Anaheim Hills. And so we show up it was in the parking lot of down the hill of a Ralph's, I think. And we show up at 4:15. There's not a soul around. We're going like, what's going on? And went into the store and asked, and they went, oh yeah, that was a pancake breakfast. It started at 5 a.m. And we went, okay, come on. If someone tells you got a gig from 5 to 7 on a Saturday, who in their right mind is going to be 5 a.m.?
Yes.
The great thing is we called him and apologized, and we did it the next year.
That's funny. The funny thing about the surf band I was in is it involved Rusty Stiers. And that means that it was researched and it was treated like trad. And they wanted all the vocals to nail their pitches. And it didn't work. It didn't work with that style, that kind of rigidity, in my opinion. They'll differ with me when we talk about this, but in my opinion, that kind of preciseness doesn't work on Sloop John B. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's too much fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Rusty was always so focused. I mean, Dan, I think the first 3 tunes the Jazz Miners learned were like My Heart, Mabel's Dream, and Grandpa's Spells. I mean, it wasn't.
You're sure it wasn't Midnight in Moscow?
No, I know that came later. But you'd think, okay, these guys are new. Let's do Bill Bailey, Margie, and maybe Down by the Riverside. But no, man, I got a taste right off the bat, which is great because now if someone calls one of those tunes, it's like, yeah, I haven't played that in 40 years, but it's stuck up there. So once you start out, I'll remember it.
Yeah, you'll be able to really. I think you'll be able to really. Come on, Dan, talk. I think you'll be able to relate to this, and that is that because of the guys I started in the style with, I got to real casuals, and I didn't know Bill Bailey and Cabaret. I mean, I didn't know Cabaret, and and those kind of tunes,
Yeah, I remember the first time going out on like a casual. I think it was Sonny Helmer actually hired me and Brad. Maybe Rusty? No, I think it was a different drum player. And I was the same way. I knew the Jazz Minor repertoire. I didn't know this stuff. Thankfully, Brad knew every tune on the planet. So he just stood there that whole gig and just called chords to me.
Things like Hello Dolly,
Yeah, because we didn't learn that in the Jazz Minors, so it didn't exist to me. So thankfully for Brad, many of those first casuals that I played, he was on the gig, so I could just sit there and he'd just throw chords to me the whole night.
Yeah, we're gonna start wrapping this up in a second, but I wanted to tell you a result of Rusty and his musical taste that happened on my career very strangely, which is because of Rusty, I knew about Home in Pasadena, and in fact that it was a Temperate 7 tune. So I was on stage in Mammoth playing with Tex Wyndham of all people.
Oh yeah.
And he says to the audience, he goes, I'll bet you not a person in this within earshot of my voice can tell me who had the hit on Home in Pasadena. And from the back line, I go, the Temperance 7. And he goes, there, ladies and gentlemen, is a scholar. And I had his utmost respect from that moment on. And I knew nothing about the rest of that stuff. I thought you would appreciate that.
We had a gig with Dwight. We were playing, and the president of the company we got up to spoke was an African American gentleman, and it was a Dixieland thing, and he said, "Thanks, guys." Now he goes, "It's not Miles, but thanks, stuff." So the next time up, we started playing all blues, and he started laughing. He goes, "Okay, you got me. You guys are cool."
One last thing, John. Do you remember when you called me from Sergeant Preston's?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So I had it all of the sudden. This was when I had an issue all of the sudden where it was like we were playing along and I realized if I don't get to the restroom in about 20 seconds, we're going to be in trouble. I must have eaten something or something. And yeah, you had to come down like right now.
Well, if I remember right, that wasn't quite the issue. Your valve assembly had come off in your hand.
Oh, that was another time.
Yes. And you called up and you said, "Hello, Dan, this is John. What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting at home watching TV." You said, "Could you come down to Sergeant Preston's and bring your horn and whatever else you want to bring?" And I went, "Sure."
Why?
And I showed up with a trombone and my sousaphone, and I really didn't play trombone, but I sat in with you guys. It was John Police was on drums, I think.
That's right. That's right. No, there was a time that I had about where it was, okay, I got to get off this stage right now. Oh, it's amazing.
And I may have came down to that. Of course, yep. So you have this habit of wanting to borrow my horn because you did that at the miners' reunion too.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What horn do you have now?
Oh, I'm still playing a King sousaphone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I actually sold my nice Mirrophone in 2000 to help finance my kids' trips to the Australian Olympics. They were in the band.
Yeah, I did several with my beautiful Walter Woods bass amp. That was, I think, 2 or 3 semesters of college for one of my girls.
Yeah, well, what we do for our kids, huh?
Yeah, absolutely right, and happily. I'm playing that Con. I think it's a 3JC horn, little C tuba that I've had for forever and ever and ever. 4 valve, but I never taught myself to play the 4th valve, so I never play the 4th valve.
Well, I mean, you really don't need to go that low anyway, and all it really does is give you a 1 and 3 combination that's better in tune. So.
Well, yeah, that's what people tell me.
Well, John, I'm so glad you agreed to do this.
Oh, this was wonderful. And I was telling my wife, I said, it'll just be fun to hang with Dan and just remember old stuff.
Sure, but I also want to know what you're doing now, and I don't know if there's anything you want to plug. You have any band CDs or recordings or a website or any of that good stuff?
Nope. I wrote a book recently I'm working on getting published. It's a Christian book called Pure Joy. But if the publisher wants to do something with it, then I'll post it on Facebook. But yeah, I love my life in Oregon, Dan. It's fabulous. Work and just enough gigs, not too many. Well, lately no gigs, but they're starting. I got a few things in the fire. So Oregon's fabulous. It's just the best.
It's really good to hear that you've written that book. One of my things I try to communicate to my students is that happiness is a choice.
Yes, absolutely. You get to pick that. It might take some work, but it's absolutely worth it.
All right, John. Thank you so much, man. I hope we get to do this again soon, and I wouldn't mind seeing you in person and chatting again sometime.
Hopefully.
Or over on the net. It doesn't matter to me. You're just fun.
Good. Thanks, Dan. It was a blast.
All right, John. You take care.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching Trad Jazz Today with Dan Zeilinger. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Videos come out every Wednesday and Friday.